Imagine being loved so completely that it breaks you. Imagine that the very thing the world tells you is your greatest asset, the thing women envy and men possess, is actually a cage. They called me beautiful. Beautiful in form and appearance, the Holy Scriptures would later say. As if that is all I was. As if my face was the sum of my soul. You think you know my story. You think it's a fairy tale of the younger sister, the beloved wife, the romance at the well. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was a tragedy of rivalry, bartered flesh, and a silence that screamed. I was loved by the man I married, yes, more than life itself, but that love nearly destroyed us both. Welcome back to Diary of a Biblical Woman. We have sat with Sarah, the one who waited 90 years for a promise, only to almost lose it on an altar. We have sat with Hagar, the woman God saw when no one else did, fleeing in the desert. And we also sat with Leah, Rachel's sister. 4 heartbreaking episodes inside her tent, the tent of the woman nobody chose. Today, we cross the camp. We open a different diary. You already know some of these events. You watch them through Leah's eyes, from her place in the arrangement, from behind the crushing grief of being the wife Jacob never wanted. But every story has a landscape, and if Leah lived in the valley of rejection, Rachel lived on the peak of idolization. And let me tell you, the air was very thin up there. Her name was Rachel. And if you have ever felt like you were only being valued for what you could do or how you looked, rather than who you actually are, stay with me today, because Rachel is about to speak. Entry 1. I never asked to be beautiful. I want to say that first, before anything else, because I think it matters. I did not wake up each morning and choose to be the one people looked at. I did not arrange my face or my walk or my laugh to draw attention. I simply was what I was, and the world responded to it in ways I could not control and did not always welcome. My sister Leah was 2 years older than me. She was capable, so quiet. She ran our father's household with a precision I genuinely admired. She could manage servants and accounts and the complicated logistics of a camp in a way that I, if I'm being honest, never quite mastered. I was the shepherdess, out in the sun. She was the matriarch in training. But when visitors came, they looked at me. Even when I was covered in dust, tending the flocks, their eyes slid past Leah's competency and fastened on my face. I watched Leah watch them look. I want you to understand something that gets lost when men tell our story. I loved my sister. The rivalry between us, and I will not pretend it did not exist, was not something either of us chose. It was something our father, Laban, built. Brick by brick. He built it from the moment he decided which one of us was valuable to his pride and which one of us was useful to his greed. He made me the prize. He made Leah the backup plan. Neither of us was asked if we wanted those roles. I grew up knowing I was beautiful the way you know the weather. It simply was. It shaped everything around me, and I had very little say in it. What I wanted, what I actually wanted underneath all of it, was simpler than anyone imagined. I wanted a house. I wanted children. I wanted a life that was mine, not a currency bartered by my father. I did not know that the very thing everyone assumed would make my life easy, being beautiful, being chosen, being coveted, would become the source of my greatest pain. I was just a girl beside a well, hoping for water. And then the world shifted. Entry 2. Single-handed. He rolled the stone away single-handedly. I want you to sit with that for a moment. You need to understand what that meant to me standing there. That stone required several grown men to move it. I had watched it happen my whole life. The gathering of strength, the grunting effort, the collective weight of many arms needed to open the well. Jacob moved it alone, with a fury and a strength that made the other shepherds fall silent. He looked at me, and then he wept. I had never had a man weep when he saw me. Visitors usually smirked or stared or postured. I did not know what to do with a man's tears. He kissed me, a greeting, the custom, and he wept aloud, and he told me who he was, my father's relative, Rebecca's son. I ran home. I remember my heart hammering, not from the run, but from the heat of his gaze. My father went out to meet him immediately. Of course he did. Laban understood opportunity the way a hawk understands the wind, instinctively, physically, always calculating what it meant for him. Jacob stayed, and every day for a month he looked at me the way no one had ever looked at me before. Not the way visitors looked, that quick, assessing glance that measured my worth and moved on. Jacob looked at me as if I were the answer to a prayer he had been praying his entire life. I will not pretend I did not feel it. I will not pretend I did not want it. I wanted to belong to someone who actually saw me, even if he only saw the surface. When my father asked Jacob what his wages should be, Jacob did not hesitate. He did not negotiate. He didn't use the careful calculation my father brought to every conversation. He looked Laban in the eye and said, "I will work 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter." 7 years. In our culture, for a man to offer 7 years of hard labor was an astronomical price. It was unheard of. Laban said yes, because Laban always said yes to a bad deal for someone else. I stood in the shadows of the tent and felt something I had no name for yet. I was 20 years old, and a strong, passionate man had just offered 7 years of his life for the chance to call me his own. I did not know then what my father was already planning. I did not know about the veil. I didn't know I would be the bait in Laban's trap to get rid of Leah. I simply knew that Jacob looked at me the way the river looks at the sea, as if he had always been moving towards me and had finally arrived. Rachel was 20 years old. She believed she was living in the greatest romance her tribe had ever known. A man had pledged 7 years to her. Scripture tells us that for Jacob, those 7 years seemed like a few days because of his love for her. But Scripture doesn't tell us what those 7 years felt like for Rachel. The waiting, the growing pressure, the eyes of the entire camp on her, counting down the days. She didn't know that on what should have been her wedding night, she would hear Jacob's voice from across the camp and understand that everything had gone horribly, violently wrong. Next time, we cover the morning after, Rachel's version, and the brutal reality of a marriage that began with a lie. You already know how this story looks from Leah's side. Now please stay for Rachel's. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. You do not want to miss part 2. And please share this with a woman who has been waiting for someone to finally see her for who she is, not what she provides. Tell her that Rachel is finally ready to speak to her. We'll see you next time on Diary of a Biblical Woman.